Hey guys, this is Social Fire, and I'm back today doing something, again, a little bit different. I wanted to do my review for Avengers Endgame, so most of you have hopefully seen it by now. If you have not watched Endgame, you probably want to bookmark this video and watch it like another time, because there are probably going to be, there are definitely going to be spoilers. The way I do reviews, I just want to talk about my experience with the movie and stuff, so I'm definitely going to be talking about stuff that happened in the movie. So again, if you haven't watched it yet, this is your last warning. There are spoilers, Endgame spoilers, so yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I would have been totally upset. I would have killed somebody if they ruined it for me. Luckily, I avoided all spoilers. I managed to see it opening weekend, and I'm just getting around to doing my reviews. So anyways, guys, you've been warned. We're gonna get into this though. So I'm gonna start off by saying that Endgame for me was just amazing. It was so stressful. I was like on the edge of my seat, just, oh my God, it really emotionally wore me out. Like, I had to go recover after this movie. I mean, right off the bat, you get into it with Hawkeye and his family, and we know what's coming there. We know that his family's gonna get stabbed. You could tell from the trailer. I mean, he becomes Ronin. So we know that's coming, but seeing it actually happen, I was like, are they really gonna do this to me in the first 5 minutes? I'm already ready to cry, because it's just that feeling. It really gets to you. Oh God. Like, thinking about it now, it's just a horrible feeling. Like, all of a sudden, everybody's gone. He's alone. And that kind of set the tone for this movie. They're not holding back. They're going to give us all the punches and hit us where it hurts. And fast forward, we have Tony and Nebula. I really enjoyed watching their interaction there. It was kind of touching in a way. Nebula has just really, she's changed. She has that softer side, and she's still super aggressive, which we see, but you can tell that she's, just a different all-around character now, since the last few movies. Obviously, it's very touching watching Tony leave the message for Pepper, and then he's just kind of resigned himself to this fate. Obviously, they get saved, because we saw him in the trailer too, and Marvel just kind of shows up. Super convenient. She's there. She saves the day. She brings them home. But when they get back, the dynamic is just different between all of the Avengers. So there's so much tension, and everybody has lost so much. And we're picking up right after the Thanos snap. All this craziness happened. It's just very rough to come home to. And you can see what it's done to everybody. I mean, obviously, Iron Man and Captain still at each other's throats. There's tons and tons of tension there. I mean, poor Rocket. Rocket's like lost everybody from the Guardians. I mean, him and Nebula are the only ones left. And really, there's just a lot of crazy. It's just craziness, because they're stressed out, and they're like, let's go get Thanos. Nebula knows where he is. Let's go get him. And I was kind of shocked with the fact that they just went after him. Like, and Marvel, everybody, they're ready to go, and they just kind of bust in on him. Like, Thanos is chilling, taking a walk, making some soup, doing his thing. He's hung up his armor, and all of a sudden, you have every remaining Avenger busting in on him. They are just beating the crap out of him, and we find out that the stones are gone. He got rid of them, and that's like an oh shit moment. Like, what are we gonna do now? Because we're in the beginning of the movie, and the stones are gone now, and him and Nebula are kind of having this touching moment, and then, holy crap, Thor just chopped his head off. I guess he went for the head this time. He said he went for the head, because if you guys remember the previous movie, he had the axe there, and he was about to finish him off, but Thanos could still snap, so he's obviously carried so much regret from this, and yeah, that was like, oh my God, everybody in the theater was just like, what? I wasn't expecting that. They just kill him off so early. It was just kind of a crazy moment. And then what are you going to do? Now he's dead. The stones are gone. And I was really excited to see what they're going to do with this. So we really have this moment where it's just fast forward 5 years. Everybody's trying to recover. The world's trying to move on. You know, Captain's with this little recovery group. Everybody's doing their thing. And Black Widow has assumed kind of the leadership role. I mean, Tony is bounced. And she's trying to keep things going. And I'm going to say this about Black Widow. She has not been my favorite Avenger. I mean, I don't dislike her. She's just never really been my favorite. But this movie really changed how I felt about her. I like that when we had this fast forward moment here, she has this weathered look. You have this toll that the stress is taken on her. You can see it, and it's a very real feeling. It's like very believable, and her character is just went through so much at this point. I mean, her best buddy Hawkeye, he's off doing some crazy stuff as Ronin now. I mean, it's just, you know, we've all been there. Like, some of the feelings and emotions during this movie we've experienced in real life, and she's stressed out, and they all are, and it's kind of a hopeless feeling. And that, I really like how that tone was set. And the acting was amazing during this movie. I'm going to say that probably more than once, but the acting was really good. So they're trying to kind of keep going and doing their thing, and then Ant-Man pops up. We have Ant-Man, and he is a very welcome, like, comedy relief, and he kind of lightens the tone a bit at times, which is definitely needed. But he also has his moments too. But we see him obviously reunite with his daughter. He's trying to figure out what happened. Like, holy crap, half the people are gone. He gets back to the Avengers, and he comes up with the idea to do this time heist, which I love, like, time heist, because the stones are gone in their time, but they realize they can go back and get the stones from the past, which is kind of genius. That's pretty cool. Obviously, they go to see Tony, and Tony's like, no. I mean, he has a family now. He's settled down with Pepper, and they have a daughter. I was super excited to see their daughter. I think it was Morgan. I geeked out a little bit because that was just such a touching moment. Like, Tony Stark has always had kind of that fatherly, I mean, we saw him interact with Peter Parker, and he's had that ability to be a good father, and we're getting to see him be a father, and I just loved it. I loved it. Everything about that. I mean, I loved everything about him and Pepper's interactions, their relationship. It just felt good and right. I'm going to try not to lose my voice during this. You guys know I've had a cold. And then just seeing his interaction with his daughter, it's just adorable, and I love it. So that I was really enjoying. I mean, you guys know, or may know, I'm a huge Iron Man fan. Like, he's my favorite. He's always been my favorite. I loved him in the comics, and I really like what these movies have done with him. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. to me is like perfect casting choice, and I've really enjoyed that. So I kind of had some ideas what may be coming later in the movie. So I'd been talking to Jinro before, and I'm like, I think this is gonna happen. I don't know, but I have this feeling, and we'll see. But there were a few different ways the movie could have went. So, anyways, Tony's like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not helping you create a time machine. No way. So then they go seek out Hulk. And yes, we get to see Professor Hulk. I was so excited about that too. I kind of wish we'd had a movie developing the whole dynamic and how he actually came to that point. That would have been really cool, I think. But either way, it's super cool to see Professor Hulk. And he's just chilled out now. I mean, he's over there dabbing. I'm pretty sure he dabbed during the movie. And that was just fun too. Kind of another like lightning element to the movie. And we really need those because this movie is just heavy and emotional. It's good, but we need those moments where they kind of lighten it up a bit. So I was very thankful for that, and it was just really cool to see that. So obviously they go off, and he's going to try to help. And they kind of have their little escapades trying to build the time machine and all that. To see baby Ant-Man. But anyways, there's so much to cover. This was like a 3-hour movie, so I'm trying not to make this a 3-hour review, so I'm gonna try not to stretch it out too long. Keyword here is try. So again, we kind of skip back to Tony Stark, or Iron Man, And, you know, you can tell that the guilt with Peter Parker is really weighing on him. Like, that hit him hard, losing Peter Parker. He had that, like, fatherly role, like, mentorly role toward him, and he just can't help himself. I think it's part guilt and part just curiosity. He just needs to know if he can do it. And he can. He creates a time machine. And I love that moment between him and Pepper where he's like, I've done it. But I can just leave this idea. I can walk away right now. Just go put it away. Because he knows what this means. Like, he's got everything to risk. And Pepper's like, yeah, but could you rest if you do? I mean, that in itself is just another great moment. And he realizes he has to help. He can't help himself. It's not even about him anymore. He has to do this for everybody. Because he has his family, but a lot of people don't have the people they love anymore. So he has to do it. And he wants to bring Peter back. So obviously he goes back to help them. And I love the interaction with Captain America. It's not some long, sappy, drawn out apology or reuniting moments. It's just like, yeah, a resentment's toxic. Let's just squash this. All right, let's just get back into it. And I'm kind of happy they didn't go too much into that. I can't handle too many emotions in this movie as it is. I cried a million times. Several, for sure. So, I'll say this. I like the Avengers that are left. I like what they're working with here. We have the main guys. Can't snap most of them. We have Rocket, who brings a great element here. Then they go back to get Thor, which, oh my god, Thor. That was perfect. So perfect. And I wonder how many fangirls were upset that he got fat. I don't know how many people were upset about that, but it was great and perfect and realistic because he is carrying a ton of guilt. He feels like it's his responsibility that this whole thing happened. And you can see he's become an alcoholic. He's gained a ton of weight. He's just not taking care of himself. He's depressed. And that's realistic. I mean, there's some light moments. We have like Fortnite there, because apparently Fortnite's still going on and really big then. You have the interactions with Rocket. Like, all of that, there's some fun moments. But this is a very realistic thing, too. Like, how it's gotten to him. He's a god, and it's still affected him this much. Like, the feeling of guilt and responsibility. So, I mean, they talk him into helping, mainly with beer. And everybody's getting to work. They're planning this out. And they're like, okay, we're going to go back to these different timelines. 3 are in New York. There's one here. And they place out where everything is to get different stones. So, I almost forgot. So, they also go get Hawkeye. And Hawkeye as Ronin was badass. He looked good. I needed more of that. I needed more Ronin. I want a movie. But it looks badass. I mean, you have the Sonata cameo, which is really awesome as the Yakuza boss. That was a whole cool bit and kind of just too short. General was watching it with me and he was like, the cameo was so short. He was so disappointed because he loves that actor. But again, very cool and very awesome to see. Very touching reuniting moment with him and Black Widow, which makes further on the movie so much harder. Oh my god. But anyways, everybody's back together, and they're going to do this. They're going to go back in time and get the stones, because they have Tony's machine, and they have the Pym particles, kind of like a mashup with Ant-Man's technology as well. So they're going back in time to different timelines. Everybody's paired up. And I should have seen some of what's coming with who was paired up with who. But you kind of see some of the craziness going on with everybody paired up. Very cool little nod to the comics with Captain America in the New York timeline where he's in the elevator with Hydros and he does a little Hail Hydros. That was pretty cool. Jen and I were both like, oh, did you see that? But there were a lot of cool moments like that, a lot of cool Easter eggs, and I like that as much as they're trying not to mess stuff up, they kind of mess some stuff up. The Tesseract, that whole thing gets messed up where Tony gives himself a heart attack, or Ant-Man gives Tony a heart attack. And Loki manages to get the Tesseract and he just bounces. He's out, which I thought was going to come back. Apparently they're planning on doing some TV show or some series with him, so I guess they're setting it up for that. But yeah, that whole moment happens. We find out with Banner, he's interacting with the Ancient One. But this is before Doctor Strange has been a thing or gotten, the stone, and they're interacting, and he finds out that if they're going to take the stones, they have to bring them back later. So they have to bring them back to the spot where they took them, so the stones are there for the future events to happen. So that kind of plays into later on as well. So they find out, okay, we have to return these when we're done. We have some really cool bits. Obviously, things get kind of screwed up, so then the Captain and Tony, they have to go get the Tesseract again and go back in time again. And they obviously go to the military base. You see that whole bit. You see him, he sees Carter kind of touching. And Tony gets some closure with his dad, also super touching, which that's really cool because his mom is apparently pregnant with him. And he's getting to talk to his dad about fatherhood and, see this interaction, and it's something that he never got. So it's kind of closure. And I like that some of these characters are getting closure. I mean, Tony's kind of getting some closure with his dad, and just a very touching moment regarding fatherhood because they're both fathers now. Thor obviously gets some closure with his mom because he's just falling apart during his and Rocket's mission. He's just like, Rocket can't keep him focused because there's so much going on. But Thor, he gets that moment with his mom. He tries to warn her about her death too, which is kind of sad, but she's like, no, you can't. She's a smart woman, and she kind of has an idea of what he's trying to say. She knows he's from the future, and she's talking with him and giving him advice, and she's like, you can't change my path. But she's encouraging him. And then I love that moment where he realizes that he's still worthy. He calls for the hammer, he gets it, and that was great acting too. This whole movie was just based on great acting. It was just good storylines and stuff, but the acting really sold it for me. Because I love seeing Thor's face light up when he realized he's still worthy. So everything's going on, and then we have Black Widow. Oh gosh, I hate talking about this. Black Widow and Hawkeye go for the Soul Stone, and this was one of the moments in the film that just really killed me, because the minute you get there, it's like just the two of them, and you're like, oh crap, we know what they have to do. We saw what Thanos had to do. And it was already eating at me. Like, I was already getting a little upset because I knew we're about to lose one of them. And, oh my God, it was really emotional. I cried pretty hard a few times during this movie, and this was one of them. Like, they realized to get the stone, one of them has to die. And there's such a loving friendship between both of them that they're both willing to sacrifice themselves to save each other. And, oh God, I like, this really, for some reason, this still gets to me a little bit. Like, because there is such a loving friendship there and such a strong basis, like, for them to both be just so willing to sacrifice themselves. So they're fighting about who's going to sacrifice himself. And it's like this back and forth, like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And then at the last moment, Hawkeye throws off his stuff, and you think he's going to go. And I was like, oh, crap. What if his family's coming back? And that last moment, I thought it was going to be him. And then Black Widow, she snapped him back, and then they're hanging there. And you have that moment, and he can't hold on to her. And she's like, you got to let me go. And then when she fell, and then she sacrificed herself, and, seeing him with the stone afterwards, it was really emotional. I cried hard. That got to me. It was just so touching, because she was doing it for him. She was doing it for the Avengers. She felt a responsibility as the now leader. Like, she did this for everybody, and this movie made me really love her character. It was really good. It just was very good closure. But it was so emotional. I was already an emotional wreck. I don't know why I wore makeup to go see this movie, because that makeup was everywhere at the end. It was just, that was a mess. So anyways, skipping forward here, because there's so much to cover. They covered a lot. It was a 3-hour movie, and it needed to be, because there's just so much going on. But we have the thing with Nebula. She goes back, have that whole bit going on where past Thanos is doing his thing and past Nebula's there, and somehow their implant, like Nebula's implant, interacts with past one, and why did I say Thor? I'm already an emotional mess again. I'm a mess again just trying to keep up with this. Thanos, it's a TH word, Thanos finds out what their plans are because he can see future or present Nebula's memories, and he's past Nebula's playing them because they are linked, and he's finding out what's going on. And that's that another oh shit moment, like, oh my god, Thanos is figuring out what's going on. Past Thanos, he knows what they're doing, this is bad. And it's like, what's gonna happen? It adds another element, like, okay, we knew this wasn't gonna be easy, but now he's figured out what they're doing. So the Nebulas switch. Present Nebula is taken prisoner, and we have future Nebula going back. Gamora is still on Thanos' side at this point, but she's always had that good part to her, so she's already kind of struggling with, she realizes what he's going to do to everybody, and we gotta kind of get to see her struggle as well, which is pretty cool. And it's good to see her back, because it was really sad last movie. I hated seeing that. So anyways, flash forward, Avengers come back with past Nebula, who's a spy now, and they get the stones and they create the gauntlet. And they're, talking about who's going to do it, and, Hulk or Banner, he's like, I'm probably the only one that can survive this. Tons of radiation and all that stuff, so now we have this moment where past Thanos knows what's going on, so we know he's plotting. Past Nebula's right there. What's gonna happen? And Banner puts on the gauntlet and snaps everybody back. And all of a sudden, the birds are singing outside, and it's like, what happens? Things are already brighter, and Hawkeye's wife starts calling, and we realize they're back. He couldn't bring Natasha back, which was really sad, but he brings everybody back, and for a moment it feels good. It's like, they're back, they did it, and Ant-Man walks over to the window, and he's like feeling good, and then, oh my god, all of a sudden they're busting in with missiles, like, that was totally unexpected. I knew Thanos was coming, but that moment, like, I thought Ant-Man was dead. I mean, the way they made it look, because he's standing there and the missiles come right in, I thought he was dead. No lie. I was shocked. I thought he was gone right there, and everything's going crazy all of a sudden. There's missiles and explosions and craziness, and it's like, oh my god. It's just insanity. So all of a sudden, everything's blown up. Avengers headquarters is just crazy, like rubble. And we have this like kind of just hectic atmosphere, like figuring out who's alive, figuring out who's dead. Apparently everybody's still alive, thank God. Ant-Man's going to rescue someone that's trapped below. Hawkeye has the gauntlet. He's trapped down there, and Thanos is coming in. Just a lot is happening here, and it's just kind of that way through the rest of the movie, just constant stuff. So it's pretty cool seeing the struggle. We see the interaction with Thanos. Thanos like interacting with Captain and them, and he comes to the realization where before he was just like, if I stop half of humanity, it's going to play out to this plan I have. But he's realizing people are never going to give up. The leftover people, humanity is just going to keep trying to get the others back. They're never going to forget. They're never going to move on. And he's like, you know what? This time when I snap, I've got to get rid of everybody. We're starting over. We're just throwing the paper away. We're getting a new one. I hit my lamp. But he's just like, we got to start completely over. So this is another oh crap moment, because it's like, okay, so they got to make sure he doesn't snap, because otherwise they're all gone. They're all going to be gone, and it really ups the stakes here. So really, they're playing for everybody's lives now. Again, a lot of chaos. We see some pretty cool fight scenes between everybody here with like Captain America slapping Thor around a bit with the hammer, and then like we see how strong did I say Thor? I keep saying Thor. Thanos. We keep seeing him smack around Thanos. The TH words, man, they're getting me today. And that's how much this movie messed me up. I can't think. But we see everything going around, kind of have that cool moment where Thor realizes that Captain is also worthy, which is pretty cool. We kind of got that hint a few movies back, but just a lot going on. Nebula and Gamora corner Hawkeye. Obviously, past Nebula's there, and her and Gamora have kind of seen eye to eye about what's going to happen. They have to stop this. So past Nebula's there, little talking and stuff, and basically Nebula shoots herself to save Gamora and Hawkeye. And I didn't know what was going to happen there. When she shot herself, I'm like, does this mean she's going to die too? Like, what's going to happen to our present/future Gamora here? But she was fine. Just she had to kill her past self. Okay. So yeah, all this chaos is going on, and you know, everybody's fighting, and the Captain and them are getting a little overwhelmed by Thanos. But then, oh my god, watching everybody appear, like when those portals started opening, it was like, oh my god, the theater went crazy. It was amazing. It looked insane. That was so epic. I loved it. Like, all the portals open up and everybody comes back. Like, we're seeing everybody come back, and it was just, oh, intense chills. Like, so good. So good. I loved it. Watching everybody come back, like Black Panther busts in, he's look amazing. We see Scarlet Witch. Everybody's back, and it felt good. I missed them. It was emotional and epic and exciting and chills, just all that, all at once. Like, Peter Parker's back. Everybody's back, and I love that. I love that moment. It was amazing watching Peter Parker and Tony reunite. Very, very touching. He hugs them, and that's like so sweet moment there. Seeing Quill and Gamora kind of reunite. I guess at this point Nebula's explained to Gamora that she fell in love with Quill and stuff. He tries to go kiss her, and she like knees the heck out of him, and we realize that's going to take some work there. She, you know, their whole dynamic is going to take some time. But anyways, lots of stuff going on here, and they're basically keeping the gauntlet away from Thanos. So it's kind of trading off at different points. We have Spider-Man has it, we have Black Panther, I can't remember the exact order, but it's going between people. And then Marvel has it. We also see the really cool fight scene with Scarlet Witch and Thanos, which is pretty amazing as well. She looked so badass. Scarlet Witch, she looked awesome. I loved her bit. I wanted more of her. Because she is pissed off, because obviously Vision can't come back either. If the deaths were related to the stones directly and stuff, they couldn't come back. So she's like, you took everything from me, and she has an axe to grind, and that was just pretty awesome as well. So she kind of had her moment. Everybody is having their moments in these different fight scenes. Marvel's looking pretty amazing. Really loved her in this movie as well. But obviously Thanos does eventually get the gauntlet. So at this point, everybody is trying to keep him from snapping. Because they know what's going to happen now. Everybody's asses are on the line. Everybody's butts are on the line. And it's tense. I'm stressed out at this point watching the movie, because I am so stressed out. Like, what's going to happen? You don't know if they're going to throw you a curveball and the snap's inevitable, or what's really going to happen. Are they going to save the day? And even Marvel, she's trying to keep him snapping, and he like slaps her to the side. And just watching all this go on. And there was a moment a little earlier where Tony had asked, or Iron Man asked Doctor Strange, he says, you know, that one in all the millions of chances that you saw, is this that chance? And Doctor Strange is like, I can't tell you, because if I tell you, it won't happen. And I'm already going to start getting sad now. So then you have all this flash forward back to what we were talking about, the moment everybody's trying to keep him from Thanos from snapping, and Iron Man got knocked back and he's injured. But it's just this crazy moment. Everybody's on edge. What's going to happen? And you see Iron Man look over to Doctor Strange, and when he holds up the finger, like, I knew it was coming, and this really started getting emotional for me, like, at this point, because I said I love Tony Stark, and I knew it was, like, coming, and he's like, this is the moment, this is the one, and Tony knows what he has to do, so he rushes over, and he's trying to keep Thanos from snapping, and it looks like he's thwarted. He gets knocked back again, and Thanos is like, nah, man, I am inevitable. But then the snap's not working, and all of a sudden we see that Tony has used a suit to steal the gems and make like a pseudo gauntlet. And then the most badass moment, he's like, no, I am Iron Man, and he snaps. And that was chills. Chills again. And then obviously they defeat him. Tony saved everybody. You see his army, Thanos' army starts to slowly disappear. They got Iron Man snapped. Instead of Thanos snapped, they got Tony snapped. But we see what it did to Tony, and I mean, it messed up Hulk pretty bad. So we know that, and we know there's no way that Tony's going to make it, and it's really sad. It's really emotional and just kind of devastating, but also it's kind of perfect closure. Like, it's such a heroic closure, and it's just sad seeing, like, Peter is losing him again, and then Pepper, she's like, you know, we'll be okay, you can rest. And I was just a mess. I was such a mess for like most of the rest of the movie. It was just, Tony is like kind of egotistical. He has this arrogance to him throughout the movies, but he also started up the Avengers, and he does have a good heart. He can be a narcissist, but he has a good heart. At the end of the day, it kind of goes back to that conversation with his dad. His dad's talking about how he has a hard time not putting himself first, but Tony, in this moment, puts his needs aside and does this for everybody, for his family, for the world. And it was just so good. It was a really good closure. He started the Avengers, and then he does everything to save them. So we have the great voiceover there, where afterwards they're going through the funeral and he's talking, and it's kind of really well done there. I like this touch. It's sad again, but I like this touch here, him talking. He had recorded like a will previously, just in case. He knew things were going to go south. I'm pretty sure he knew that there was a possibility things were going to go south. So he pre-recorded it, and they're watching it. And it's so emotional seeing them watch it, seeing everybody at the funeral. We see glimpses of everybody at the funeral and interacting. A cool little cameo in the back, too, like the older teenage guy. Apparently is the kid from Iron Man 3. So that's pretty cool. And then just watching everybody mourn him and give him a proper send-off is just very emotional. Seeing everybody kind of have their last interactions. It was just so well done. The credits were even insane. I loved everything about this. I mean, the credits were amazing. I stayed and watched it. I was like, that was so cool. They had the autographs and stuff. And then at the very end, you hear the hammer. And it's like a nod back to when he was building the first suit in the cave. And all I can say about this movie is just, it was so well done. And I think it says something that he's my favorite character, and I felt like this was a good closure for him. Just because, like I said, it was just very heroic, and I actually like everything they did with this. Even though it hurt me, they made me cry, they stressed me out during this movie. I was an emotional wreck. I wanted to record my reaction right after the movie, and I couldn't. First of all, makeup everywhere, but second of all, I just needed time to process it. I'm sure if I'd done it right after the movie, there would have been even more bits and cameos and Easter eggs and stuff I would remember. Like seeing Stan Lee's last cameo was also very touching too. And there's all these moments that I probably would. There's just so much. This is already becoming a 35-minute and longer, 35 plus review at this point, but it was just an amazing movie, and I feel like it speaks volumes to how much a movie can just make you feel. It brought emotions, it brought some great closure, tied in a lot of nice tie-ins with previous movies. That was well done, and the acting was just amazing. I mean, it was good. Robert Downey Jr. was so good, but everybody else was good too. I mean, Scarlett Johansson did a great job, and I would watch it again and again. This was as good. It was better than I hoped it would be. And let me just say, guys, I don't cry. I cry very seldom during movies. So the fact that this movie like made me cry more than once was a big deal. They really just brought it, and you know, it was definitely worth watching. So I was very happy with the whole experience. And I'm looking forward to some of the few movies coming up later. Obviously, we had the little nod at the end where we see that Quill's looking for Gamora. She's kind of jetted. Where is she? So I'm guessing that's what the next Guardians movie is going to focus around, because there is another one coming up. So I'm guessing he's going to be searching for her. Thor's tagging along and hanging out. I think there's another Black Panther and Doctor Strange movie coming up, I think. But there are a few more coming up, so I'm very excited about seeing those as well and just seeing where the rest of these go. I mean, I love it. I'm very excited to see more, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm closing in on 40 minutes now, and I tried to shorten this review, but it's just, I couldn't. There's just so much I enjoyed. There's so many good moments. Everything about this was just super enjoyable. And it was a great experience. And I would love to hear what your thoughts were in the comments down below. If you put a spoiler, just put a spoiler notice for people in case they haven't seen it yet. But I would love to see how you guys felt about the movie and what your thoughts were as well. So as always, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Leave me a comment down below, and I'll catch you next time. I'll be back with more videos later on. Bye.